Moving on now, in the latest development, Gaza's civil defence says an Israeli strike hit the al-Bursh family home in Jabalia, killing 14 people, including 6 children and 3 women. Spokesman Mahmoud Basal reported that over 20 others remain missing under the rubble. The attack occurred today amid ongoing Israeli military operations in northern Gaza. Meanwhile, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has called for an immediate independent probe into the deaths of at least 31 Palestinians near a US-backed aid site in Gaza. Rescuers blame Israeli gunfire. Guterres says it's unacceptable that people are risking their lives for food and demanded accountability for the incident. This comes as Gaza's civil defence says at least 31 people were killed and over 170 injured on Sunday after Israeli fire targeted crowds near a US-backed aid distribution site. But both the Israeli military and the organisation overseeing the aid operations have denied that any such attack took place. The US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation says it has distributed millions of meals since launching operations, but aid delivery has been chaotic with limited disruption, centres struggling to meet demand. Hamas has signalled its readiness to resume indirect talks on a truce as Qatar and Egypt intensify mediation efforts. The proposed plan includes a 60-day ceasefire, increased humanitarian access and the reopening of border crossings. As diplomatic pressure builds, US Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee mocked France's support for Palestinian statehood, suggesting it should carve out a piece of the French Riviera instead. Meanwhile, World Food Programme Chief Cindy McCain urged Israel to grant full access to Gaza, calling for an immediate ceasefire and opening gates to prevent a humanitarian catastrophe. Well, joining us to discuss these developments is Ahmed Fatou, a spokesperson for the Fatah movement, who's joining us from Ramallah. Thank you ever so much, Ahmed, for being here with us. Let's first look at the ongoing military action that we're seeing in Gaza, some disputed, but I want to look at these 14 people that have died in an attack on a home today first. What is the consensus amongst Palestinians given the renewed attacks and continuation of worrying humanitarian conditions on the ground?
Thank you for having me. Well, the situation, as you have seen, as reported by everyone, is catastrophic. It's a major tragedy going on for the past 20 months. Children are suffering, women, elders, all are suffering, and it is astonishing that this is still continuing despite all the evidence. We have all the reports, all the outcries by everyone, by the Gazans calling for help to the entire world, yet they are not receiving it. Of course, what Israel is claiming is false. They're denying the fact that they have killed 32 Palestinians yesterday was heavily reported by everyone, by witnesses on the ground, by the Red Crescent, which is not led by Hamas, but by the PLO, the legitimate authority, by a human rights organization like Euromed, and by many hospitals. And I can't, the images is just there. I can't understand how they deny it and why they are considered as anything legitimate to be a credible source. This is a grotesque war crime, a chilling testament of Israel's use of starvation as a sadistic way to increase the suffering of Palestinians. For what? 20 months of wars. The entire world is calling for this war to end, but 2 states only are refusing to stop this genocide, which is the United States and the perpetrator, Israel. We need to stop this immediately. The world needs to stop this. This is a catastrophic humanitarian situation. Today, as you have reported, tens has been killed. Every day, civilians are getting killed. 40, 50, 60, 100. For how long is this going to continue? 2 million population. They are not responsible for the October 7. This is a collective punishment. This is a war crime. Starvation is refused under Geneva Convention. This is a major war crime. 1 million children are suffering today. Women, pregnant women, are losing their pregnancy because of malnutrition and all these diseases that are killing people that are simply resolved and healed if the medicine exists, but medicine is not there to heal them. This is a crisis that the world needs to pay major attention and stop it immediately. It cannot continue.
Ahmed, let's now look back a short while. Reports of Israeli fire on civilians who were at an aid facility. This has, of course, been reported, but Israel and the organisation that are providing this aid say that there was no disruption. We've heard the UN chief calling now for an independent investigation. What have you heard on the ground about this reported incident?
Well, as you have witnessed yesterday, hundreds of witnesses on ground said that they have opened fire on us. Israeli quadcopters opened fire on aid seekers. This is undeniable. Journalists, tens of journalists have reported it. As I told you, humanitarian organization reported hospitals has received many dead bodies from this area. The videos that Israel, by the way, provided is from Khan Yunis. It's not from west of Rafah. It is a clear lie, and we can't take the perpetrator as a witness. We have the witness. The people are saying it. The humanitarian organization, and as the UN chief said, let's an investigation come in. What is needed now is an immediate ceasefire and a global intervention to stop this genocide, and for an international investigation team to come to Palestine and investigate all these matters, whether from the side of Hamas or from the side of Israel. That's number one. Number two, it is needed for an immediate protection mechanism for the Palestinian people. We cannot continue under this regime that has proved to everyone that it cares not about the Palestinian people, it cares not about the two-state solution, it cares not about peace, when we have the entire globe is against the continuation of war, yet it continues this war. That means that Israel has become a rogue state who does not see the Palestinian people as equal human beings. They are seeing us as subhuman beings. What they are doing in the West Bank, where I live right now, is also catastrophic. Extermination of our indigenous lands. Where are we going from this? We cannot, the right, the far right, the fascist far right of Israel are trying to remake the 1948 Nakba before our eyes. The world needs to stop this. In the Nakba 1948, they expelled 750,000 Palestinians from their indigenous land to create the state of Israel. Now they want to remove the rest of the Palestinians to create the greater Israel. They have said it. I'm not saying this. This is not conspiracy theory. This is the finance minister who said it. Smotrich, Ben Gavir, the Ministry of Security said it. Netanyahu said it. What more evidence is needed for the world to act? We have the resolution, more than 1,000 resolution, speaking about the resolving the question of Palestine. Israel refused to apply them. Two-state solution is here. We have to think clearly, because what is needed now is a comprehensive political solution. The war cannot continue. This is a huge toll of human casualties. Where are we going from this? Immediate intervention to the war, immediate protection for the Palestinian people, and to go for a two-state solution. This is the only resolution for this catastrophic situation. Israel cannot run away from these facts. They cannot deny the existence of the Palestinian people. They cannot deny the existence, our natural right of self-determination. That's,
Ahmed,
most straightforward facts.
Let's move forward now, and let's take a look at this Steve Witkoff proposal, of course agreed by Israel, which would see a 60-day pause in military action from Israel in the Gaza Strip. Hamas said no, have given their own counter-proposal, which is almost identical but includes guarantees. Is there not some responsibility on Hamas to just get a deal agreed to end the fighting, improve the humanitarian situation, and provide a 2-month window to potentially agree a permanent ceasefire in the region?
Well, right now we are suffering immensely from this tragic war and this tragic genocide. I'm aware that Witkoff proposal is unfair, is not really give any guarantees for stopping the war. Hamas made mistake by not involving the Palestinian Liberation Organization in these negotiations, and they continue in their divisive mentalities as a political party that refused to include the Palestinian national factions. That is a mistake that Hamas has done, and I call on Hamas to think clearly that this is a matter of national crisis. This is not a matter of Hamas, and all Palestinian factions under the umbrella of PLO need to be involved immediately to stop this catastrophic situation. Now, Hamas also has to call and declare that the Palestinian Authority, the legitimate authority, should come back to Gaza and step down from power. Together we can manage these negotiations to go out from this catastrophe, but it also requires a fair position from the United States, because the United States has shown that they have no fairness in this situation. They are pressuring on the Hamas side by using an illegal methods of war, by allowing Israel to starve the Palestinian population. In any case, this method is also going to lead to nowhere, because, as I told you, without touching the major political issues, we are going to be to enter an endless cycle of wars, an endless cycle of conflict. It's already have been 77 years for, and the Palestinians did not receive their independence. Where are the Zionist movement thinking that they will lead this situation to? More 77 years of a struggle? It is not going to end by a crazy idea of mass expulsion to the Palestinian people, because we are witnessing right now a crime before our eyes. This Gaza Humanitarian Foundation aim is to move the Palestinian people from the north to the south and use starvation as a way to expel the Palestinians from their lands. It's pretty obvious, and the United States is involved in this. They need to be aware that they are involved in a major crime that history will not forgive, and the entire world is against it. Now the entire globe is calling for ending this genocide, for ending this war crime. And let's go to an international conference for peace and discuss everything. Hamas has expressed that they would step down from power. Hamas also has expressed that they are willing to negotiate to submitting their weapons to the Palestinian Authority. So the security matters, we can discuss it in a peaceful manner, but not in a way under the gun and under the fire, under the massacres. That is crazy.
Ahmed, I do want to provide some balance there. We have heard from US leaders within the Trump administration, including Donald Trump himself, that conversations were had between the US and Israel over aid and the importance of aid being distributed within Gaza amid a worsening humanitarian situation. But on the flip side, we have seen comments recently from the US administration, notably Mike Huckabee, who is the envoy to Israel, mocking France over a two-state solution. It's something that you've raised before, but I do want to explore this further. A divide between two historical Western allies. What message does that send about the sort of wider geopolitical stance on the current situation in Gaza?
What Huckabee has said is very racist, is very biased, and that is a testament for the major issue that the Palestinian people are suffering since the beginning of this struggle, and that is the United States bias toward Israel and negligence of the Palestinian rights to self-determination. Huckabee telling France to take Palestinians, this is a call for ethnic cleansing coming out from an ambassador representing the United States. That is catastrophic. The United States need to realize that they are heading into a very dark future. Where are we going with this when a genocide is allowed before our eyes, when starvation is being and aid is being distributed by mercenaries? This is a new phase of fascism. The world needs to pay attention. United States need to realize that the solution resides on the two-state solution. The entire region has said clearly there will be no Abraham records, no more Abraham agreements without the application of Palestinian right of self-determination, and that is by their independent state on the 1967 borders. United States need to be fair in this manner. The entire world is saying and standing up. The voice from Europe is very loud. Now we are heading to a two-state solution conference in New York, co-chaired by France and Saudi Arabia. I really hope that the United States would go and participate in that conference and look clearly that the children suffering in Palestine are not of a lesser God, are not of a lesser human being. We are all human beings, we are all equal, and I'm stunned